Ask at livebearded.com.
Not ask. What you don't understand is the
spot opened up literally next door.
Or
That's a
it's
big
real.
freaking win for the company because
We started this show
Spencer and Anthony.
it's crazy how loyal
guys were thirsty for some
one of the
lube.
encouraging men to be the best version. Ask us anything.
Welcome to the Beardsmen.
That is a good question.
You know, you got 14 hours, let's say, a little bit burnt out, unmotivated.
Week, not their birthday.
I gotta extend it.
Welcome to the Beardsmen, the show where we talk, mock, and never walk away from the conversation. I'm your host, Nathan, joined as always by my boys Spencer and Meek, the founders of Live Bearded. What's up, guys?
What's up, guys? I'm Spence.
My name is Mink, and as the founders of Live Bearded, our favorite thing to do here over the last 8 years that we've had the opportunity to run this company is have conversations with guys, conversations about beards and what it's like to be a man in the crazy world today. And so we thought we would start this show and bring the conversation to you guys.
That's right, guys. The format of this show is pretty straightforward. It's an Ask Us Anything. So basically, if you want to know about Live Bearded, behind the scenes, anything going on in current events, lifestyle, fitness, whatever it is, let us know. We're gonna chat about it. Nate, how are they gonna get us those questions?
You can get us those questions by shooting us an email to ask@livebearded.com or drop them in the comments. And guys, this can be questions about anything: life, business, whether Spencer prefers boxers or briefs.
Well,
maybe not that.
easy.
Maybe-
But guys,
No,
seriously, drop some questions in. We want to hear from you. We love chatting it up with you guys and getting to answer your questions. So let us know what you want to hear about.
What's the daddy update, bro?
Daddy update. Man, daddy update. All right, the biggest win, I think, this last week is that Dax has now 3 consecutive days in a row slept 7 hours.
Wow.
Which is pretty wild.
That's insane. Like
He
4
slept-
hours is good
He
at
slept
that age.
longer than we did. Like, we went to, like, he went down, we went down, we woke up, he was still out. I was like, did he completely wake up and I was just out and I'm just totally used to him waking up and just ignoring it now? Or did he actually sleep through night? Not 1, not 2, but 3 nights in a row. And I will tell you, 7 hours of sleep is plenty. That's longer than I need. So felt like I actually got to sleep through the night, which was great.
Dude, I think it's that AI baby like swing
The
you were
snoo.
telling us about.
Yeah, guys. All right. So I don't know if you're listening, if you have kids or when you had your kids, but in 2024 now, there's a gadget for everything, from a shusher to this moving snoo bassinet thing. You put the kid down and it moves, and basically as it soothes the baby, and if it starts crying louder, it can recognize the screams and it starts moving faster and getting louder to shush him down, and then he chills out and it slows down and then it stops once he's chill. So you don't have to get up and rock him or anything. You just put him in, press a button, and away he
The
goes.
future is here. We got Rosie Jetson now, the robot nanny just
Yeah.
taking care of kids.
Yeah, but the real win that I want to share with you guys. So, give the audience a little context. Here at Live Bearded, we do family meal once a month. We all get together and break bread. And we're sitting at family meal a couple weeks ago, and I'm assuming this conversation came up because, Dax is breastfeeding, and the whole idea of breast milk came up at the team lunch. And Pete, I love Pete, but Pete was like, no, breast milk is gross, it's bitter, it doesn't taste good. And Nate over here, of course, is like, no, breast milk is the best thing ever.
It's kind of sweet. It's a little earthy, but it's sugary.
And I hadn't tasted breast milk. So my update for the week really is, the verdict is, breast milk is my new post-workout drink. I'm just kidding.
Are
Breast
you
milk is
using it to make protein ice cream now?
No, but it's sweet and it's good and it's extremely nurture. I mean, supposedly it's got superpowers. You like rub it on the kid's skin and it heals their skin acne or dry skin or whatever.
Eyes
It's like
get
healing
goopy, rub a
properties.
little in there, heals
Breast milk
right
solves
up.
everything. So I tasted it and I can report back officially. Breast milk is sweet and it tastes kind of like almond milk and it's not great, but it's not terrible. So Pete must have had a bad batch. This lady was.
I don't
Sour.
I don't know why, but I'm kind of grossed out right now. Maybe it's because I'm single and not a parent.
I thought it was gross too. And then at lunch, everyone was chatting about it like it's no big deal. And I was like, all right, why haven't I tasted this? I guess I'm missing out. And it seemed a little weird. And I wasn't like, chugging it by any means, but I had to taste it a little bit.
Look, if you can put like a mushroom gummy that's the supplement into your mouth that tastes like tires, you can try a little sip of breast milk.
So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, congratulations, bro. I'm glad you discovered that for the rest of us.
Yep.
I'm going to leave that discovery untapped in my world
There you
for
go,
quite
for
a while.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
So with you
awesome.
guys, what's going on? What's going on with you guys? What's up?
Got a quarterly planning session coming up. I love those.
Yeah.
Just a good time. We get together once a quarter, sit down, and kind of plan out the next steps for LB.
Always a good time. Always nice to get out of the office and kind of dig deep, get out of the weeds, kind of look above the business a little bit and strategize. It's always really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Mick? What's going on?
Honestly, I don't feel like I have any updates, man. I'm just like working. I'm in the middle of a bunch of shit right now. I feel like life is good. I just sometimes you got fun things to share, and other times you're just kind of in it, you know. And I think one of the things that comes to mind is a quote I remind myself often is like, ordinary things practiced consistently create extraordinary results. Sometimes we have these amazing updates in life. Sometimes we have, extraordinary events. Obviously, you're going through one, and now as a father, I'm sure those extraordinary events become much more frequent. But oftentimes, like, it's just the ordinary, like, day-to-day fundamentals of life. You know, it's like you get up early, you do your thing, you go to work, you do your thing, you come home, you do your thing. And I think oftentimes we we feel discouraged, or we downplay the importance of that. And so right now I'm just literally like in the process of reminding myself, like, this is the ordinary things that I'm doing every day are going to get me where I want to go. So just staying focused and staying consistent.
Yep.
But
People want that easy button, that overnight success, and they don't realize that the real magic of it is in the compound interest of execution over time.
Yeah.
What's that quote that I love? It's like, it took me 20 years to become an overnight success.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
True.
What questions we got today?
We got some fun ones today. We're going to kick off with some science, because that sounds like a good time. Paul wrote in one to know, hey, the hair on my head is not red, but my beard is red. Why?
You don't like the ginger beard? Come on, man, rock it.
We did hunt down a glorious 10-point ginger beard on Beard Hunter recently.
If you haven't
Hannah?
seen Beard Hunter, go to our social and watch it. It's great.
It's a new series. Let us know. Leave a comment on the videos. Let us know what you think. We're getting the reps up. We're hitting the streets. We're finding beards out in the wild, and we think it's a lot of fun. We've gotten really good feedback so far. So let us know what you think.
Deep in the untamed wilds of Scottsdale.
We're working with what we got here, you know?
Yeah. It's not
There
like
are cougars everywhere. It is dangerous.
It is wild out there.
Oh, sorry, Paul, your question. So I'll break down the science of it, right? So you've got 4 like genetic slots essentially for.
And you
your
didn't
hair
Google
color.
this before the.
No, I didn't Google this before this. We did a blog on it a long time ago though. So if you hit our blog, you can also see this
You
information.
chat GPT this answer.
I did not
Under the
chat.
table
I
right now.
Should have.
He's got an earpiece in right now. Just
I actually have Bill Nye the Science Guy on standby. No, you've got 4 genetic marker slots for hair color. When your head hair gets its hair color, you get 2 markers from each of your parents. And if 2 or more of those are for red, your head hair will turn red. But when it comes to your facial hair color, only one of those markers needs to be red for it to come red. So one of your parents gave you the red hair genetic and it showed up in your beard, but the other one didn't, so it didn't show up on your head. That's the simplified.
it's actually pretty common. It's really
Yeah.
common, yeah.
It's a strong look, actually. I really like the two-tone. I think it creates a good contrast.
Yeah, I like it.
You kind of get some of that with your mustache. Like your
I get a little
mustache
bit of
gets
layers.
blonder than like
Little red beard. Nice.
getting a little bit of gray. Does that count?
You got a couple coming in.
I got a couple of grays coming
How do you
in.
feel
It's
about
good.
it?
I'm actually excited for it. I'm at the point right now, how I feel about it is like, I'm just mad that there's not more. I'm like, all right, right now there's only a couple, and I'm a fat guy, so it looks like it could just be some cheese in my beard. I want enough gray to where it looks like I'm gray.
The salt and pepper is a good look. So I get what you're saying. If you just have a couple, it's not enough to really, fully balance them out. Mink's got a couple coming in.
I don't know what happened. It was almost like overnight. All of a sudden, I started getting all these gray hairs.
My bad.
Yeah.
Like a Nate stressing you out, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. At first, I was like, "Oh yeah, I got a couple grays. That's cool." And then like a whole bunch more came, and I was like, "Yo, bro, slow down with the grays.
Easy.
Easy. So be careful what you wish for, Nate."
I know a lot of it's hereditary. My dad, he didn't turn gray till he was in his 50s, but it went quick, and he went from dark black to just white within like a 2-year span.
Yeah.
So he held on a while, but then it was Santa Claus overnight.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being a silver fox. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a good look, man. It's a good look.
All right.
All right, what else we got?
We got a business question here as well. This is actually a really good one. And also kind of, like really relevant right now. Team's been growing a lot lately. So Nick wrote in and said, how do you screen, interview, and welcome the best hires to your company? I often feel like I'm saddled or reined in by my current team. The hires I've made in the past years were exciting at the time, but they quickly conformed to the same way of thinking and routines as the other faculties in the department. They are no longer growth-minded or pushing themselves to do more. Now I'm building a new team on another campus, and I want to see the innovation and dedication to the craft that I have. Do you have any book recommendations or resources for this?
Mink, what do you got for us, man? I feel like this is Right up your alley.
Yeah, so whenever, I mean, fortunately, we're in a position now where we have an amazing support that does a lot of the first rounds of hiring for us. But when I was doing a lot of the hires, I framed the interview process in 3 steps. And I would literally say to someone, okay, so guys, this is, so Spence, if I'm interviewing you, I'd say, hey, Spence, so I want you to understand this is an interview for you as much as it is for me, right? Because we need to make sure this is a win-win situation. And in this interview, what I want to do is I want to cover 3 things. I just want to have a casual conversation. I want to get to know you. I want you to get to know me. And I want to talk about 3 categories. The first topic I want to talk about is culture. The second topic I want to talk about is your skills. I want to make sure that you have the capacity to do the job. And the third thing I want to talk about is really where you want to go in your career and what you want your future to be, because I want to make sure that we're aligned there.
Yep.
And so I very specifically have 3 categories that I interview people on. And then I would say, I believe in our business, culture is the most important thing. And so what I want to do is tell you how I define culture. And then I want to tell you what it means to us, because at the end of the day, if we don't enjoy the experience of coming to work every day, then it's going to be a loss for both of us. And I would say my definition of culture is it's the experience that we have coming to work every day. It's how we talk to each other, how we treat each other, how we disagree with each other, and most importantly, whether or not we trust one another. Can we push back? Can we agree to disagree? Can we get frustrated but shake hands and move forward? And I would say, you know, our culture here at Live Bearded is a very non-politically correct culture. I say fuck anytime I want, and it will never impose my beliefs or control what you can or cannot do. I want you to be able to think for yourself, agree to disagree, and be a professional. And so I would kind of lay out what our culture is, and then I would talk very specifically about the values of our brand. But in every hire, I spend probably more time or as much time on just the culture element as I do anything else. So I would say culture maybe takes up 40% of the conversation. Experience or skills takes up 40% of the conversation. And then like where you want to go and are we aligned in our career path long term would maybe be 20%. But for us, I think we've always hired for culture first and then experience second. And the most important part of the hiring process is good applicants, honestly. And I think good applicants for us, my experience has been starts by having a good internal culture, right? We, from day one, you and I have created a culture where it was a company that we would want to work for, right? And I think oftentimes as an entrepreneur, you become an entrepreneur because you don't want to work for someone else. You don't want to have a bullshit boss that tries telling you what to do, that imposes restrictions or just circumstances that you don't want to abide by, right? There's a certain lack of authority or lack of constraints that we want to have as an entrepreneur. And so one of the things I'm most proud of, what we did at Live Bearded is we said, okay, we don't want to work for these types of fuckers over here.
Fuck those guys.
Let's make sure we're not one of those fuckers.
Yeah.
Let's build an environment that we would truly want to be in and work in every day.
And that gets increasingly more difficult as the company grows, right?
Yes.
Because the whole corporate ladder, right? As corporate companies get bigger, you need some of the systems and processes, and you can get caught up in the weeds. So it's a struggle to maintain that as you grow, and a challenge that we've been excited to tackle for sure.
Yeah, I always think about that saying that people don't quit jobs, they quit bosses. And I think that one of the things you guys have done a really good job at is creating a culture where like we're excited, we love things. Like I say it all the time, but like this is the first time in my life that I come to work and I feel like I'm working with someone to build something, not working for someone to do what they tell me.
And I'm very, very intentional about all of my language. I never say you work for me or you work for us. I always choose with. And if I accidentally say, well, yeah, you work for me, now I'd be like, no, you work with me
together.
Yeah, we're in partnership
Big
together.
difference.
And I think it is that. But if you're having a problem with people, the honest truth is it's your fucking fault.
100%.
Yeah,
I was gonna quote PBD. People don't quit jobs or they quit bosses or leaders, and it's a lot of it comes down to how are you showing up as a leader. And if you treat them so well, if you empower them, if you pour into their personal growth, professional growth, and really support them, and they're not going to want to leave you as an individual leader. The only thing I want to add to that, I think, is the old saying, hire slow, fire fast. And the few times where we've gotten in trouble is if we've tried to solve for the problem too quickly, not vetting out enough applicants and really taking our time to find the right person and saying, well, we just need to fix this issue. Let's get somebody in the role. And if they're not the right culture fit, you don't truly vet them out. It's a net negative for everyone. And then you're going to recycle the process and just waste time, money, resource, et cetera. So I would say really be diligent about the interviewing process. Something we've done in the past is the videos. We've had a lot of applicants actually go through a questionnaire before we get into any sort of in-person or phone interview and actually record a video of themselves answering questions. And it's amazing how many people will just weed out or bow out from that video process because they're just spamming all the job application boards, right, with their resume and applications to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes out of their time, get uncomfortable, be on camera. Just showing that initiative weeds out a lot of people. So I think that's a nice little hack as well.
Yeah, I would say, going back to my previous thought, it's your fault that your culture is the way that it is because as the founder or the CEO, you're the number one person that's responsible for the culture.
Or team lead.
And 100%. And one of the things I've really been thinking a lot about is as a leader, whether you're a leader of a department, a division, or a company, you're not responsible for the jobs in the department getting done. You're responsible for the people doing the jobs, and therefore you're responsible to hold them accountable. And so if they've lost an element of creativity or innovation, or if they're not doing what you would like them to do, ultimately that's your fault because you haven't clearly communicated what the commitments are, what needs to happen,
expectations,
and you haven't clearly held them accountable to meet those deliverables. Said another way, as the CEO or a leader of a department, division, manager of people, right, you are responsible for one thing, and that's the results that department or that company must produce. And oftentimes, if you're in a management position, you're not the one that's doing the job, but again, you're responsible for the people that are. And so you deliver results indirectly by managing the people that deliver the final product. And so all of that comes up to the very top, and hiring is the most difficult part in a business. And Spence and I think, this is an area where we just didn't know what the fuck we were doing. And even last year, at the beginning of the year, we had 10 people. And now collectively, I manage 24, 25 with everything that I have going on. And I very, very honestly said, I suck at hiring. I'm really bad at this process and I need to get good at it. And the only way you get good at it is by developing systems and SOPs and processes. And you just have to own it, but it comes with you. If you don't like where you're at, if you don't like the people that are in your company, at the end of the day, if you've put them there, you're responsible. And I would focus more on getting extraordinary applicants by putting in the work up front to get people interested into your company, and then culture, skills, and long-term commitment or long-term growth opportunity. And if you can find one key hire, they can change your
Massive
business.
unlock. Yep.
Yeah.
So I know you always have a good backstock of books on there. Is there a book that sticks out to you for really honing in on company culture or values?
The business book that I recommend the most is The Road Less Stupid, because it covers all of the critical aspects of being an executive or a CEO in a business. And that talks more about the whole experience of leading a company, but there's a very specific part in there about culture and about doing the work required to hire people. It's about asking really good questions. That's the first one that comes to mind. Beyond that, specifically about culture and hiring people, there's a company called there's a book called Who, which is really extraordinary, and it's all about hiring the right people. Those are the top two that come to mind.
Yeah, I think PBD's Choose Your Enemies Wisely talks a lot about building a business plan and goes into culture, mission, kind of framing that out. So I think that's worth checking out as well.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say on this topic is, again, if you've got a hiring problem, that's downstream from culture and from accountability. And so what you really need to do is build a stronger company culture that players want to be a part of, and then you need to demonstrate that culture and walk them through a process. But to us, I think the best thing that we did at Live Bearded was build a culture that people want to be a part of. And we post stuff on social media behind the scenes, and people are like, "Oh my God, I'd love to work with you guys." I just saw a post literally this morning on my way in. I was looking through some comments on some of my stuff, and some big bearded dude was like, "Oh man, I would be a dream to work in a company like this." It's because we do what we say, we walk the talk, and we've invested the 8 years to develop the culture. So upstream from hiring people is definitely culture. Start there, and everything else downstream gets easier.
Yep.
Nice. Well, there you have it, Nick. We'll link the comments or link in the description as well to the books we talked about there. But hope the team building goes well for you on the new team, Nick. All right. And our final question for today comes in from Nicole. She said, what do you think the psychology is behind some men feeling the desire and the need to shave every day? Or do you think that it's the result of some sort of societal pressure?
What do you think, Spence?
Yeah,
I don't know why I just did a in the microphone. That was like that was kind of a random.
Yeah.
I did actually research this one.
Did you? I mean, my gut always goes to follow the money. It's like, look at the big marketing campaigns that are pushing. So when, Gillette and these big shaving companies, promoting razors and going into the business world. And I think if you grow up and you follow your grandpa, your dad shaving, it just becomes part of your tradition and kind of what you do. And you model that and you get conditioned to that kind of part of your grooming routine. I think that kind of gets passed down a little bit. But
Dude, did you research this too? You got the right company name on it and everything.
Really? I mean, I know they're one of the biggest.
I mean, it's common sense in a lot of ways. Like
Yeah.
if you to your point, like follow the money is super important. I would take it like, so follow the money, who's spending it, and then ultimately, I mean, I think in the modern world, all social trends or initiatives in some capacity are typically started by some marketer
Totally.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Breakfast, the most important meal of the day, like goes against fasting, and it's all the cereal companies or all the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I think we underestimate how our lives are influenced by third party people trying to sell us something.
Yeah.
Everything around us is conditioning us to buy something, do something, be someone. And so, I mean, very, very simply, like all the social trends, there's some type of money or incentive behind it that's trying to lead someone to take some type of action in someone else's benefit.
of course.
Yeah, actually, so like that's about half of what the Smithsonian claims on it. So I read an article from the Smithsonian on like why this happened, and we got to remember that like prior to 1900, access to like water and soap were pretty limited for people.
Yeah.
So prior to then, it was actually a cleanliness thing, right? Because people would get like just horrible, gross things growing in their beard because they never washed anything. They didn't have soap. They didn't have good beard wash. They didn't have beard oils. They didn't have things they could groom with. And so it was considered, more clean and sophisticated to be clean shaven.
Mm-hmm.
And then Gillette released the first safety razor in the early 1900s. And once it became readily available and you didn't have to go to a barber to get shaved all the time, like Gillette just kept pushing marketing campaigns of like, you'll be more attractive and women will want to be around you because you don't have a beard.
Kind of a status thing.
Yeah.
Cleanliness and status. Yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah, it's like any type of fashion trend. It's like, oh, you wear this super, new type of thing and you're going to look great. And then 6 months later, there's a new hairstyle or new
Or
this.
diet, right? It's like vegan.
Yeah.
It's like, well, who's funding that? It's like, okay,
Yeah.
all these narratives or these marketing campaigns, like who's actually funding the narrative?
Yeah.
100%.
Gillette. Fucking Gillette.
God damn it.
The worst a man can get.
Ooh, shots fired. All right. Worst a man can get, but I've got Do Better Dude right now, and this is the best a man can get.
Oh,
all
Do
right?
Better Dude. Yeah, guys, if you're listening right now, this is our Do Better Dude segment. We love to scour the internet, find a guy who's just doing positive stuff in the world. Too often there's just negative bullshit headlines, and we like to feature somebody who kind of has similar values, what we stand for here at Live Bearded. Give him a little shout out, recognize him, share his story. So Nate, you got something for us?
Dude, I got a great one. So today we're talking about Judge John Phillips out in California.
Judge John Phillips.
Judge John Phillips. So Judge Phillips has been on the bench for a long time, and he was really noticing these patterns of like young kid offenders coming through again and again and again. And when you look at the like repeat offending rate for most kids, if they go to like juvenile detention, only 40% of them don't commit a second offense. And he was like, I'm tired of seeing this. These kids are just going into juvie and they're learning to be better criminals and coming back out. So he started a vocational home that he started sentencing kids to that teach them trades, that teach them how to be cooks, that teach them how to do mechanics, things like that, and giving them life skills rather than just like sending them into a detention center. And by doing that, he only has, 84.4% of the kids who go through there that are first-time offenders never reoffend. So his whole philosophy is, job's not jail.
Yeah. It's fascinating, and it proves the point, you are who you spend your time with, right? It's like, I didn't actually think about it, but jail is a terrible place to send people. Like, take all the worst fuck ups in the society and put them in one place so they can talk about and be around other fuck ups. And all that does is reinforce being a fuck up, right? Where it's like, there's so many studies that show you are who you spend the most time with. Proximity is power, right? Like opportunity. Oftentimes people are like, oh, this person got lucky. I literally just read this story. And it was like Mr. Beast's janitor gets paid over $1 million a year. And I was like, Mr. Beast pays his janitor $1 million a year. And the moral of the story is very simple. Proximity is power and working your fucking ass off. What happened is the dude showed up to work as the janitor because Mr. Beast, if you don't know who he is, look him up. He's the fucking biggest YouTuber on the planet. He does these crazy videos and they were making massive messes. And so he hired this guy and he's like, hey, I just want you to fix all of our messes, clean everything up. And the dude just worked his fucking ass off. He cleaned up everything, did whatever he could. And then one day was like, hey, we need an extra person. Can you jump in this video and do this? And he's like, okay, cool. Jumps in the video, does a thing. People are like, oh, who's that guy? We like him. They're like, okay, cool. Put him in another video, put him in another video, put him in another video. Next thing you know, he's like a multimillionaire, one of the main dudes in Mr. Beast's squad. And he showed up as a fucking janitor because he saw an opportunity. And most people will see that as luck, right? Oh, he got lucky. It's like, well, he put himself in proximity to an environment that had opportunity, right? Which is the opposite of what jail is, and which is exactly what this halfway home kind of vocational school is. Like, put people in a position where they can have opportunity, but then require them to do the second part, which is show the fuck up and work their ass off. And most people are not willing to do the extra work or go the extra mile. But if you identify in an environment where there's opportunity and you show up and be the type of person that's willing to do whatever it takes to maximize that opportunity, then luck happens. Because the right person shows up at the right place, and ultimately there's an opportunity at the right time. But people be like, oh, he got lucky. It's like, no, motherfucker. He intentionally did what was required to make it happen. And what I love about this story is, in a very simple form, it's an example of what happens when you just put people in an environment where the proximity is very bad, where the behaviors, the character traits, and the beliefs are very toxic and negative, or when you say, hey, like, you fucked up. Okay, cool. But there's another way you can do things. You can learn, you can grow, you can excel. And by doing that, you can evolve into a greater version of yourself. And you go from having 60% of people repeat offending to less than 20% of people repeat offending. Yeah. And it's all environment.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think if you're listening right now and you're struggling to change or progress or evolve individually, change your environment. If you're living in an area where you're surrounded by friends that are pulling you to go out and drink every weekend, move cities and make new friends. Remove yourself from those situations and you're going to be forced to evolve. Surround yourself with people that are going to uplift, inspire you to do better. I mean, that's part of the whole reason why Live Bearded exists, is to try to create a space where we can inspire and encourage men to do better, to learn from each other and elevate our standards and who we are as men. And I think it's so incredibly powerful to really be extremely protective of who you surround yourself with. And when you're younger, you have a lot of friends, you don't care as much. But as I'm getting older, I'm fucking ruthless. And talk about adding a kid and a family into the mix. I am so protective of my time because I don't have a lot of it, that you need to be so intentional of who you allow into your circle, because they're going to either make you a better version of yourself or they're going to pull you down. And this example of jail, it's a perfect example. Surround yourself with guys that are just looking for ways to get out on people. You're going to learn those bad habits.
How do I get one over? What do I do here? What do I do there? I was in the ice bath this morning and I just got inspired and I recorded this little video and I said, most people focus on the what or the how or the when. How do I get it done? When can I get it done? What do I have to do? And those three things will never solve the problem for you. They'll never get you where you want to go. It's always a who do you have to be and why the fuck do you want it, right? And if the who is surrounded by a lot of other people that are influencing the behaviors, the character traits, the beliefs, you're never going to get there. But if you're stuck right now, if you're struggling, if you're not where you want to be, if you need to break through or like release some friendships or some toxic environments that you're a part of, understand that that's okay. That's part of evolution and being a man. And sometimes people are with us for a season and sometimes people are with us for a reason. And either way, like, we have to understand and learn what that is. But it's never what do you do? It's never when will it happen or how's it going to happen? It's always who do you have to be to make it happen, or who do you need to surround yourself with to make it happen? And then why is that important for you? If you have a strong enough and compelling reason why, you'll figure the rest of it out. And
you can apply that to everything.
Yeah, 100%.
Professional, relationships, fitness. I mean, literally
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, I'm like on this fitness journey right now, and I'm thinking, there's a couple goals that I have. I want to get to a certain body fat percentage. I want to look a certain way. I want to feel a certain way. And I'm in genuinely great shape, but I want to get to that final like top 2 or 3 percentile. And I'm like, I've never been there. Like, who do I know that I can hire to like give me the exact roadmap? Because I know in my brain I'm working very hard, but there's a subtle shift that I need to make to get to that next level. And it's probably very simple and very fucking small, but I just don't know what it is. So who knows what that is, and how do you make that change? You've done that in your relationship.
totally.
Like you're learning that in your parenthood. I remember once upon a time, there was a time where you were in a very big kind of party stage of your life and doing your thing as a young man. And you came to me and you're like, fuck, bro, I need to like change some things up. I need to do this. I need to do that. And you moved from Arizona to California to put yourself in a new environment.
Yeah.
And we started talking about business. One thing led to another. Now, 8 years later, we started Live Bearded together. And that all came from one conversation that you had that was like, I've got these bad behaviors. I'm going out, I'm partying, I'm doing all these things. I know that long term, it doesn't get me where I want to go. I'm going to make a big change. Put yourself in a new environment. I'd really love to learn marketing. We started talking. Boom. Now here's where we are. It all started with a change
Of an environment.
for you and an awareness that you need to change.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and the physical change of the environment is just it's an easier way than trying to overcome when you have patterns of behavior. If you're in the same environment, trying to will yourself through those, if you don't have a big enough compelling why, it's much more difficult than just physically changing your environment. And that example is like, well, you're not exposed to it. And it's amazing what if you're not exposed or pulled, like how much easier it is to make that progress, make that change.
yeah. And I'm going to like correct something because easier it can be, right? But we don't want to do the easier thing. But in psychology, there's this whole idea of a pattern interrupt, right? And if you're just playing the same story over and over and over, or the same routine, or the same habits, or the same weeks over and over and over, it does become so habituating that it is next to impossible to get out of that. So it's not necessarily taking the easy way, but it's creating a pattern interrupt strong enough to completely remove you from or change that pattern so it no longer plays in the same way. Imagine an old CD, right? And you play the CD and you play track 12 and it's always the same fucking track over and over. It doesn't matter how many times you change it. Track 12 is track 12. But if you scratch that bitch up, it no longer plays the same. And in psychology, like human behavior is the exact same way. You have to, at times, just completely destroy the pattern that has been taking place in order to recreate a new one. And so I don't think it's about creating an easier path, but it's about recreating a path or doing a pattern interrupt so that you aren't pulled back into the same cycle of behavior
laws of space.
by all of the anchors or environmental factors that are so conditioned into you. It's often just, it's as hard to do it in the new space, but it has less of that pattern, so you have a little bit more mobility to move in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's just the basic concepts of neuroplasticity, right? Our brains start to wire in a way that take the easy, familiar paths, even if those are more destructive for us. And so, to make those kinds of changes, you literally have to rewire the circuits of your brain.
Yeah.
That's what it's about, baby.
All right.
All right.
You guys got
Yes,
any
that's-
final thoughts?
Does anybody else's beard hair ever just get stuck in the microphone cover? I feel like my longer beard, I keep finding like beard hair just getting stuck to that, and I want to get further away. That's my final thought.
My beard's on the short side right now. So
Yeah.
no.
You don't have to make out with the microphone. It'll pick you up. You don't have to get so close to it.
All right, I'm gonna.
I don't know if you're just really comfortable with large things close to your mouth like that, but
Well, that does it for us on the Beards.
all right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, drop us a message. Let us know. But again, we appreciate you guys. We love hanging out with you. Live Bearded does not exist without you, without this community. And we are here to support you in any way that we can. So let us know if you need anything. Until next time,
Live bearded!